where are you on the P&L? If you're in the bottom part of the P&L, which means you're a cost, you're going to be optimized. In the age of AI, if you're mediocre at anything, it is going to be risky. This is, the dance that AI is going to start creating. Thinner funnels, intent-driven consumers, agent-driven marketers who are serving literally thousands of segments, personalization, where each individual will become a segment.
Hello and welcome to the HT Brand Leadership Series. I'm your host Rajesh Kumar and thank you so much for joining in. After spending almost 3 decades in B2B marketing in companies like UiPath, SAP and Microsoft, I now help startups as a fractional CMO and as a board advisor. B2B is something close to my heart and my book on decoding B2B marketing is coming out soon on Amazon. This is a special segment on B2B marketing under HT Brand Leadership Series, where we host some of the brightest minds in the industry in every episode. We break down the complexity, provide clarity, unpack what is real, what is hype, and what you can use right away. So ready? Let's decode together. Our guest today is none other than Krishnan Chatterjee, a dear friend and a maverick marketer, CMO by the day and a rock star musician by the night. I first met him during his tenure at HCL when he was cutting out his first album, Contraband, and I was a part of designing the cover for his album, and we've stayed friends ever since. He started his journey at ITC, then went to HCL, SAP, Markets and Markets, and now Google. He's a rare blend of sharp business acumen, marketing creativity and go-do attitude. Always candid, always engaging, always incisive, the unparalleled Krishnan Chatterjee. Welcome to the show, Krishnan. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you making the time through the Gurgaon rain and hailstorm and waterlogging. Let me ask you, you've had an interesting journey starting with consumer, getting into tech, bumbling around in startups, a little bit like myself. Tell us a bit about how it has been, what made you make different changes, what's been your highs, lows, and would you hazard this again if you had an opportunity?
So thank you firstly, Rajesh. It's always a pleasure to sit down with you, one of my dear friends. So I think the term you use, bumbling around, is the best description for whatever it is I have done.
I know I've done it, still doing it.
So it's not as if there was any definite intent, etc. Once I did my MBA, I went and joined ITC, now, which was my B2C stint, so almost a decade there. But I realized when I look back that a couple of things. Firstly, my purpose in working is to enjoy myself. So I have to, it's an extension of my life. So just the way holistically across life, I should enjoy myself. The same thing holds true for work, which means it has to stimulate me, etc., etc. Second thing I realized is I'm very, very interested in discontinuities. I am not interested in BAU. So there has to be some discontinuity, some shift for me to have that fun, that enjoyment we talked about. So when I look back, the decade in ITC, around the time I started getting bored of FMCG, which tends to happen because the moment of truth in FMCG is you stand in front of a retailer saying Malik Mal Le Lo, and that is the most powerful experience you'll have. Around that time, early 2000s, is when this whole Adam Smith's invisible hand started playing out with Indian tech. And then I met some of these people from HCL Technologies, and I liked it because the guy, for instance, who wrote the software for Boeing, met me and interviewed me at a dhaba in Noida, over in Bengali you call it bhade cha, right, clay pot 80s. I like that kind of stuff, so I joined there. Then, towards the end of my HCL stint, I was asked to set up their digital business in the US. While doing that, I discovered that the biggest digital discontinuity, or the cause for digital transformation, was really being frameworked by SAP with S4HANA. And that's when, Rajesh, you called me, and I jumped on board at SAP and had a good time there. Then COVID came along, and AC/DC released this song, shot in the dark beats a walk in the park, which told me I should try a startup. So 3 years I was with a startup. While with the startup, I discovered the biggest discontinuity is AI. And when I pulled out and looked at who I believe is going to make the application of AI unique, I thought the Google Cloud strategy was great. Got an opportunity, jumped on board here. Same thing may happen. So I'll keep jumping as long as there is something interesting.
I don't know where I'll find you next. One of the things we connected and possibly first got together was around your music and album. So tell me, how has that played out? Has the fire stayed on? How has the idea of band transformed to all the gigs you do now? And how does that jive with the rest of your life? I know it's definitely your daughter's a great singer, so that's one clear, legacy transfer. Talk to me about it.
So, Rajesh, when we met, that time I had a band, I was writing music, we were launching an album. And if I go back, the core philosophy, for me, music has always been central to my life. So, let's say it's my first love. Marketing is my second. And one learning I can share with your audience is transform your second love into your career so that you can be completely non-commercial about the first. So, as you are aware, we launched the album. Unfortunately, since we were writing our own music called White Collar Rock, it wasn't particularly interesting for the larger audiences out there.
I remember the lyrics, some of the lyrics. What was that? Nanomato?
Yanomamo.
Yanomamo.
Yeah, that's a tribe. So there were good lyrics, all that. Good stuff. We enjoyed it. But I think the album was the pinnacle. So we had achieved something. And after that, both COVID happened and purpose sort of frayed for the band. The band also is a institution. It is many people coming together with one idea. So I think the idea was over. During COVID, I started doing some stuff on LinkedIn, sitting on the staircase of my apartment and singing some songs, and that was good fun then. Out of that, and because I did it on LinkedIn, we discovered many professionals who are musicians. So in Gurgaon today, we have a community called Addicted to Music, ATM, where which has over 200 professionals who are also musicians. They play a concert on the last Saturday of every month. It's on Book My Show. So Addicted to Music, ATM. So anybody who's interested is welcome. Third aspect is I have a friend called Vishal Malik. Vishal is ex-McKinsey, currently with Carney. You've met him. So Vishal is an outstanding singer in Hindi. And obviously McKinsey, Carney, etc. great with slides. So he and I occasionally do this program where for some institution or entity, we create a presentation using music with slideware to drive certain ideas and new thinking. For example, a couple of weeks back, there was a platform called I Am Game, which is bringing together sports across many different stakeholder groups. So we put a program together for them just to talk about where sports, 5 ideas to transform the sports economy in India, delivered completely through music. So these sort of things continue. So maybe many more will be born.
Yeah. I think I have to revive that idea with you. Remember, we spoke about doing recipes to music.
Exactly.
Now that he's there, we should revive that.
Yeah. And I can suggest Gemini. You can do it quite easily. He'll give you songs as well and I'll sing them.
Let's do that. So let me jump a little bit into the topic for today, which was technology in B2B marketing. So the MarTech stack, and we've seen sort of right from the word go emergence of it, has long been fragmented with siloed tools and isolated outcomes. So how do you see that whole space? I mean, what is your take on technology impacting marketing? And when I say marketing, both B2B, B2C, because technology is the common platform before we even jump to AI.
So I think you're absolutely right. You look at any, in fact, you can go to Google and search for award-winning MarTech stacks, and they may look different, but they are all in essence the same. A bunch of scattered. In fact, many of them, till you blow them up, you won't even be able to read what's written, because there'll be literally dozens of tools, there patched together in some way. The problem with that, Rajesh, is ultimately you have a consumer and you have an offering, and you bring the two together in a way that commercially makes sense. So all these transactions and tools distract from the core act of marketing, and I think one of the challenges, and obviously AI will be the big driver for this shift, is I would encourage marketers now to start thinking, where are you on the P&L? If you're in the bottom part of the P&L, which means you're a cost, you're going to be optimized. If you're in the top part of the P&L, which means you represent growth, you will be invested in. And my problem is, when I look at a fragmented, splintered MarTech stack with a variety of tools automating specific transactions, it tends to push you down the P&L more as a cost. So we'll have to, the way I see it is, there will have to be a fundamental transformation to the function using technology to lift the function from the cost level right up to the growth, and even beyond growth to capital efficient growth as the thematic driving the marketer.
How do you see AI impacting, moving on to that, and how do you see it reshaping the paradigm? How do you see it making us rethink how we think about technology in marketing? Because with agentic and the amount of intelligence and conversational that we are getting, a lot of the applications probably will become irrelevant.
Yeah. So I think with AI you have to look at two sides of the two sides of the coin. One is the marketer with AI, and the second is the customer or the consumer with AI. And both will keep shifting, and that is going to sort of change the point of equilibrium. So let's start with where I'm seeing marketers with AI today. Obviously there is great interest, but once again, going back to that MarTech stack example, the AI itself is being interpreted through a tool perspective. So for example, today marketers are playing with VO3 to make videos, an Imagen to create images, maybe a PMax in order to do some kind of campaign automation. Problem is, it's still the same mindset which gets you to that bottom part of the P&L. So I'll come back to the marketer and what can happen, because one idea I want you to hold is, at the end of the day as marketers, we do three things. What we do is, we do some form of analysis and data in order to identify segments, ICPs, where to play. We do content and we do campaigns, taking that content to the ICPs and segments we have identified. So broadly those three things, right? Analytics, content, campaign. If you keep that in mind, the first idea you have to think about is, an agent can do all of those simultaneously and iteratively. So if you hold that thought, I'll come back to it, because let's now go to the consumer or the customer side. I think all of us are seeing that AI tools are taking over things like search, right? So for Google itself, this seems to have been an existential question, but actually if you look at results Q on Q, Google search revenues are only growing faster and faster. So there is something off here, and I think what is happening today is, as AI infuses the consumer's discovery process, discovery now will be done by asking an agent of some sort, which means, hitherto we have been very used to social. So as marketers, we have looked at the funnel coming through engagement. Engagement leads to MQL. Somebody, as part of their discovery, comes and interacts with me, and I treat them like an MQL. What is shifting with AI in the discovery process is, it's not engagement anymore, it's intent. So when I ask Gemini for something, it is giving me such in-depth research. I already sort of have one or two options out of it. So when intent brings you into top of the funnel, intent-driven MQLs are going to result in thinner funnels with very high conversion rates. So now just if you see the balance, right? You got the marketer who can now do all three things simultaneously through agents. You got the consumer who is now driving to intent much faster than in the past. What will now be the marketing task? The marketing task is going to be, instead of one to many, you may have to segment your customer or consumer base into 10,000 segments, and you will have to be able to generate value for those 10,000 segments, segment by segment. So if you are, say for argument's sake, a Fevicol, for instance, and your marine glue is very attractive to fishermen in Kerala because their fishing nets are best repaired with your marine glue. Fishermen in Kerala is one segment you will have to speak to specifically, and there will be 10,000 more like that. So this is, the dance that AI is going to start creating. Thinner funnels, intent-driven consumers, agent-driven marketers who are serving literally thousands of segments, to the extent, holy grail will be personalization, where each individual will become a segment.
Tell me any examples from your experience where you've seen it work and, in the recent past.
So, best is I can take my own example at Google Cloud, though it may not be as sophisticated an example as you will soon see in the coming quarters and years. But so historically at Google Cloud, like any global tech company, we tend to in April do this mega event in Las Vegas, which is Google Cloud Next, and it's followed through with every country doing a Google Cloud Summit. The summit is a large in-country event, so multiple thousand people. This year actually, going by somewhat the logic I talked about, we did not do a summit in India. We actually did 3 executive level events across Bombay, Delhi and Bangalore. None of them had thousands. They were not more than 250, 300 senior executives in each event. But we personalized to those executives significantly. So Gemini Deep Research is an extraordinary tool. In fact, I am so impressed with it. I can take your company, Rajesh, and I can ask Gemini Deep Research to give me a document on how AI will transform your company's business. And in about 4 or 5 minutes, it will give me a 20 to 25 page document as good as any of the strat consulting firms. Deeply researched, fantastic detail, breaking down your entire value chain. Some of the CEOs who got those documents from us this time told me that, I'd have paid $1 million to one of the big strat guys for this quality of report thinking and intervention. This went to every single key executive, and interestingly enough, all this happened in the month of May. The month of May, the team, if I take the highest month's pipeline in our history in India is X, we did 2.5x in the month of May by actually scaling down the size of the activity and the spend. So we did much less, we got 2.5 times more.
So it's an interesting example that you make, and in a very unique way, you brought digital and human together. Right? You're not taking away value of a handshake, value of a in-person, because when people tend to talk, people either sway this way or that way. So how do you see that symbiosis? Because this whole question or whole line of thinking, when blown up, looks like it will finish the human race or it will finish human workers or human need for human contact. But we are saying it is aided or augmented by what AI can do. But you are bringing so much value to that human interaction, you are able to get so much more out of it. So how do you see that sort of paradigm?
So I think several people have answered this question much better than I could. So let me pick.
But yours is a real life. Others are big names in books and authors. So.
That's okay, but they give me ideas. So the first answer to your question I would take from Hollywood. So this is Iron Man and not Skynet. And obviously both are very large blockbuster films, but personally I think Iron Man is better. But AI is really J.A.R.V.I.S, right? You can't do anything without the man in the suit, in this case Robert Downey Jr. So the man in the suit really makes the difference. AI multiplies that man's capability to an extent that there is a superhuman ability now. And I'll come back to that, because that goes to a larger concept, what AI can achieve in my head. Second one is, you may have heard of Demis Hassabis, Rajesh. He's a colleague, he leads Google DeepMind. Demis won the Nobel Prize last year for AlphaFold and the work he did in protein structure prediction through AI. In fact, I would recommend all your viewers to take a look at Go, the AlphaGo film on YouTube, which is where Demis created the first program which defeated Lee Sedol, the world's premier Go champion. It's a fantastic film. But I think a couple of months back, I saw this 60 minutes interview of Demis. And the interviewer asked this question. He said, what at the end of the day, Demis, you are sort of now godfather of AI. What differentiates human and AI? And he made this interesting point that the one thing AI can't do, which humans will do, is imagine things. Imagination. The ability to create something that doesn't exist, because AI at the end of the day is a pattern matcher. And therefore the third person who gave us insight on this is a musician. John Lennon told us about this 4 decades back. So that really is, to me, the difference, that without the human in the suit, the imagination required to really create value will be missing. But at the same time, I think the caveat is the man in the suit has to be a little bit extraordinary. So I think in the age of AI, if you're mediocre at anything, it is going to be risky. It's a good idea to figure out what you love and what you're really good at. And if you can do that, AI will multiply that so that it becomes economically viable. Which means I think your humanity is only going to get enhanced.
But the right from the industrial age, even into the information era, there has been so much of work which is, for want of any better word, plodding. So a very large middle, and AI is clearly hollowing out the middle. So it's outside the domain of marketing, but I wonder how that whole new social construct, is going to look like. Are we going universal income way? Are we looking at changing the goalpost completely, which is what has happened in many of the earlier revolutions? We thought it will bring to an end, but the things multiplied by unleashing what we never even imagined we could do.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know why you say that, Rajesh. All these revolutions, so these innovation super cycles, have actually expanded the middle.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that going to happen, and where do you see that coming from?
So I referenced, in the earlier answer, my view of what AI is doing. So let me explain that view, and then I will. So I think typically we have looked at technology as a cost to serve solution. So automation makes things cheaper. I think the shift with AI is you will now start looking at capacity to serve, which is a very different concept. So, for example, In India, for every citizen to get adequate health care, you need something like around 600,000 more doctors. We can't produce them in the next 2 decades. But you could give an agent to a graduate in every village, and in tech language L1, L2, L3, L1 which is 80-85%, the agent and the graduate will deal with it. For L2, L3, shahar bhijwa do. So now there are 600,000 graduates who've got jobs. So much like in history with the digital transformation, the Zomatos of the world created these jobs in the middle of delivery, etc., for capacity to solve problems. And think about it, Rajesh, so many areas we have capacity. Healthcare is an obvious one, but food, the world is heading beyond 8 billion people. How will we feed everybody? Education, how will you, as CSNY said, teach your children? There are no teachers. So legal, imagine the pendency of cases in the Indian courts. The last estimate I heard is it will take 40 years. So the world is plagued with capacity to solve problems. With AI now you will be able to solve, again, but the man in the suit doesn't now need to be a top of the line doctor or a lawyer or an educator. The man in the suit can be somebody who's interested, who's exceptional, but then is going to use AI to solve that capacity. So to me there'll be this, and I may be entirely wrong, but my hypothesis is you will see these jobs in the middle created which will be towards solving capacity to serve, and there are enough and more such problems.
So where are you seeing, and coming back a little bit to the whole B2B marketing construct, where are you seeing AI fail or people not sort of failing to realize the potential of it? Because I'm suddenly seeing this barrage of everything, it has AI, which is like a popular slogan, but it's not rethinking the concept. It's actually trying to add it like a little sweetener because everybody wants to talk about it. So where are you seeing?
So it's full circle, Rajesh. We started from there. It's again the tools of the MarTech stack. So somebody's put it in to make videos. I think with AI, we will have to reimagine the marketing operating model. There will be a new kind of operate, which means people, process, tech, all of it has to transform. And I think at the heart of this transformation will be things like personalization, things like those 10,000 segments I talked about, and the ability to orchestrate across your 3 pillars of analytics, content, and campaign simultaneously using AI. So I'll give you an example, very small example from the world of Google. So Pfizer in North America worked with us and made a discovery that barometric pressure, certain shift in barometric pressure triggered migraines. So they built this campaign, suite. What happens today is in every town where that barometric pressure shift happens, there is auto triggering of migraine medication campaign with auto creation of content, auto outreach, there's no human being involved. So, a small example. But now imagine doing that for 10,000 segments in 100,000 use cases.
That's fascinating. Any such example you're seeing coming out in India?
So in India, I'm seeing it at a more fundamental level in other business processes. A very favorite example of mine, Rajesh, is Manipal Hospital. So I actually just posted on LinkedIn a couple of days back. But it's very interesting. So nurse handover happens every day during shift change. The typical handover takes something like 90 minutes.
I think I saw that post. Yeah.
You saw that post, right? With AI, that handover has now come down to 20 minutes. Now imagine 70 minutes every day, every shift change. The country has 300,000 nurses. Do the math. How much have you created in terms of capacity to serve more patients just through this action? So there'll be 1,000 more such actions. But
Yeah, it'll probably apply to doctors and lawyers, and because so much of our time is in mundane tasks which can get released. So for CMOs and marketing leaders watching this, what is the first 2 or 3 steps you'd recommend for them to get started on? I mean, to realize vision of next gen marketing, to future proof their teams, their own careers?
So my suggestion is, again, go back to the operating model. I don't think you have to break the whole thing and recreate, start. So you got people, process, technology, right? Start with people. What are the tools that people need to understand which they will deploy in the context of the larger operating model? So there are enough AI tools, AI agents, Google has a whole stack of them. So figure them out. Use Gemini for analytics, find ICPs, correlate to business results, things like that. Use things like Imagen, J.A.R.V.I.S, VO3, learn these, very simple, to create images, videos, new content. Use deep research to start figuring out outside in views on things that you're doing. Use campaign AI tools to distribute your campaign real time in a way that is maximum. So I'm saying let teams learn these things. That I think is the step one. Step two, I would say, is going to process and technology. Look at certain new products or new types of campaigns which you are going to launch. So I would say, for example, supposing you're an auto CMO. Today you are doing big work in EVs. But quite frankly, EVs as a product category is totally different to whatever you sold as a ICE. The engine is different, the manufacturing is different, the drive time, the consumer expectation of service and experience, these are all totally different. Pick some of these areas and then try and work with a partner to say, if I were to transform the marketing operating model for these new areas, what should I do? And build out that stack, and it will be agentic. Create those agents with which you will drive a new operating model for these emerging product or marketing areas, and then over a period of time see how you're going to take your existing model and transition it to the new one.
So a lot of experimentation right now happening in this space. So how do you sort of balance this whole in area experimentation and accountability when things are yet not realized? You said don't necessarily break everything. How do you maintain the continuity as you continue to parallelly experiment and transform?
So I would say invert the Pareto. So typically 80-20, you focus everything on 80. There is a 20 in your business where weak signals are hidden of things which will be big tomorrow. Build out this new structure, new model in the 20. So as I said, maybe EVs within the auto sector, maybe if I take SaaS companies, right, an AI based product, because see, there are issues also if you take software companies or CMOs and SaaS companies, your business models will have to change, because say in SaaS, you are very used to marginal costing becoming zero. So once you establish, then every subscription you are selling, there is no additional cost. When you are selling an AI based application, then with every sell, it's not marginal cost. The utilization of say GPUs and TPUs and inferencing or whatever workloads you create is going to bring cost. So there are going to be fundamental shifts. These are all new areas hidden in the 20% where you will have to relearn how you do business. There relearn how to do marketing as well.
I mean, India is spawning so many tech startups, especially in the SaaS, and they're all aiming to sort of from India for the world. What implications do you see for them, both from a marketing and business standpoint, with this whole new emergence of AI
if you take what I think as my hypothesis as true, and perhaps it is not, but if AI's biggest solve is going to be capacity to serve, India probably has the largest capacity to serve problems anywhere in the world.
Own problems or problems of the world?
Own problems. Take an example which has already happened, right? Identity. When India solved identity, capacity to serve identity was a huge issue till Aadhaar came along. And Aadhaar, UID, etc. is absolutely unique, right? So now, today this whole DPI, India's digital public infrastructure, we are working and with Protean, etc. and exporting it as an appliance. So there are other developing countries who are now buying India's DPI in a box, switching it on, and everything we have is being switched on in several countries. So imagine that, your entire digitization of citizen services, citizen experience coming out of India, because that was a huge capacity to serve problem. India largely solved it.
Yeah, if you start looking at the global south and a lot of the underserved part of the world, it's a huge, and if you have capacity to serve, you can get all of that market. We traditionally always looked west to the developed markets, especially with all the global volatility and tariffs and political situation. That's getting harder and harder. But there is a huge new segment of market which is almost virgin.
So I'm saying, because you have these problems, as we solve for them, as we solve healthcare for 1.5 billion people, it will be relevant. Now imagine, it will today be relevant to NHS. So it's the same thing. Now, see, in the developed world, we did not experience these problems due to economics and, let's say, the richness of their economies. For various reasons, that is now creaking. So a lot of these solutions which will fundamentally shift the paradigm of cost to serve, because it is being done. See, that cost to serve price point will now become something unimaginable. What was $5 will now be 0.5 cents. It will be that kind of shift.
It will change. I mean, if this world was flat, I don't know, it will probably be now inverted pyramid or something like that.
Some weird shape.
Okay, last thing I wanted to ask you is that what would you think, since whole thing is changing, right, and there's a lot of concern or turmoil, if I can use that word, and latest one I heard is banning after the VUCA, among young people who are making a career, will education be valuable, what careers do they make, and many of them probably would have come to marketing. What would you say to them, if you were to take away, and a lot of that we learned is probably irrelevant by now for them. So what should be your advice or thoughts for them?
I would say work on two dimensions. One is the same thing I talked about CMOs on their people front. See, young people today are digitally native born. Few years later they will be AI native born. So they will certainly have the ability to understand AI technology tools at a more fundamental level. So pick that up, and AI technologies and tools will not be just AI. So they will be on the data side, data tools, data lake, security, cloud. There'll be a whole bunch of other things. So I'm just saying the ecosystem of AI, understand that and learn it, and there's enough and more out there to learn. Second thing is build out that imagination component. And to me, for human beings, imagination is about empathy and understanding. So I would suggest for young people, understand whatever business function, anything you're focused in, bring laser focus to try and understand who are customers, who are competitors, who are influencers as human beings. And that's the part, Rajesh, you well said, that get out of office and start understanding humanity a lot more, because out of that will be born the ideas that AI cannot birth.
I think computer is trying to, rather than us trying to learn coding to understand tech is understanding us.
Correct.
And in the process, we should not forget our own penchant for empathy and Correct. Being human. So thank you. On that note, Krishnan, thank you so much for joining today, making the time. And I hope everyone, it was as enlightening and insightful as it was for me personally today. So if you liked it, enjoyed it, hit a like button, share it with people that you think will benefit from it, and join us every episode as we bring you more leaders and thought leaders talking about new areas, new trends in marketing and otherwise. So keep watching, stay tuned.